welcome to another episode of Flutie versus Stegall, where two of the best to ever do it go head-to-head with their weekly picks, while at the same time we break down the what and the why of the biggest storylines across the National Football League. I'm your host, Arash Madani. It's great to have you with us. From his home studio, there's the Heisman Trophy winner, Doug Flutie, and fresh off of being in the house in Atlanta for the Falcons' upset win over Flutie's Buffalo Bills, there is Milt Stegall. Look at that smile. Look at that megawatt smile after his Falcons beat up on Flutie's Bills. We are powered by BODOG. We thank those of you who follow on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify for making us one of North America's fastest growing football podcasts. Guys, both of you in the group chat over the weekend admitted making picks is hard. You each went 1-2 last week against the spread. Yes. Both of you are 9-6 on the season. Each of you are going to have 3 picks this week. We have some big spreads, some big lines, some big storylines. Doug, you made the point. This is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be, making some winning picks against the spread.
Well, the thing you remember is it's all professional athletes. It's guys that can make plays. You know, you might be on a losing football team, but darn it, you're world class. You can make plays. So games are always down the wire. What is amazing to me is how many games come right down to the wire and are decided in the last possession.
Yeah, and for me, I'm watching the game in a different manner now. I'm not just looking at seeing which team is going to win. I'm thinking about the point spread. I'm thinking about all that now. So my focus on the game is totally different than what has been in the past.
We have our picks coming up, Flutie versus Stegall. They disagree on Miami-Cleveland. We have a pick on Carolina coming off their biggest win of the Dave Canales era. And we have to start with New England, Tennessee, not necessarily the pick yet, but because the first coaching change has been made, must be the middle of October. Out in Nashville is Brian Callahan, 4-19 as the head coach of the Titans. They're 1-5 this year. Number 1 overall pick quarterback, Cam Ward. It just wasn't working. It wasn't working from the jump. I guess you're not surprised by the move, but it just feels, doesn't it, fellas, that the Titans just continue to spin their wheels over and over again?
I think, the bottom line there is that you've got, yes, they're spinning the wheels and they need to make a change. They need to get the attention of everyone in the front office, of every coach and every player. And you have to make a move and fire a coach, fire someone big, to get their attention and say, wake up, let's go. Everybody's job is at stake. And it lights a fire. What I felt in the one situation in my career where we had a coaching change in the middle of the season, it did relieve the weight of the world from your shoulders as a player because you felt that pressure for the head coach. And it lit the fire under you. You went out, you played, and it turned our season around.
Here's what I wonder, Milt. There were no expectations on the Titans this year. You come in with a rookie quarterback. It's kind of that growth year for Cam Ward. I understand what Doug's saying. You know, it kind of takes the air out of the balloon a little bit. But does this actually accomplish anything football-wise? That's what I wondered when I thought about the news there in Tennessee.
More than likely not. But I guess they looked at the body of work that Callahan had produced, and they said it wasn't gonna work. And I think it wasn't gonna work because you hired a guy who has never been a coordinator. And I say this because, yes, he had that title with the Bengals, but it was Zach Taylor calling the plays.
Right.
And now you put him in a position where you want him to call the plays, which he's never done before, and also be the head coach, the leader of men with a rookie quarterback, a young team. It wasn't going to work out. He was put in a position where he never wasn't going to succeed. So they had to make a change. You couldn't get rid of all the players. You got a young quarterback, so you have to do something different. You have to show your fans that we're trying to do something different because it just wasn't working in the direction they were going in.
Mike McCoy takes over as interim head coach, Doug.
I think as long as the offense is staying the same, the quarterback is going to be all right. My first reaction was, this is horrible for a rookie quarterback, but the offense is going to remain consistent. You're still trying to build on what you're doing. And like I said, the one instance that it happened to me, it kind of lifted that cloud off of everyone, that because you were playing for your head coach, you knew his job was on the line. Now that's done. Now they're going to relax and go out and play.
It's Flutie versus Stegall. We are powered by BODOG. Wouldn't you know it? Tennessee, home to New England this week.
Mike Vrabel coming back, baby.
And Mike Vrabel is coming in as a 7-point favorite. Doug Flutie has a thought and a pick on that game. We will get to that a little later on in the show. As always, we are powered by BODOG. Look, I think what we learned again this week, death, taxes, and the Jets and Dolphins being disasters. I mean, these are absolutes in the universe. Forget about the Jets. I mean, they're just hopeless.
Yeah.
Tua stood at the podium, guys, and we talked before about the quiet part out loud when it came to signal stealing, whatever. Tua stands at the podium and says this.
Well, I think it starts with the leadership in helping articulate that for the guys, and then what we're expecting out of the guys, right? We're expecting this. Are we getting that? Are we not getting that? We have guys showing up to player-only meetings late, guys not showing up to player-only meetings. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. Do we have to make this mandatory? Do we not have to make this mandatory? So it's a lot of things of that nature that we got to get cleaned up, and it starts with the little things like that.
To be clear, you're saying some players were late or missed?
Late, yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
I'm wondering, as I hear that, wait a minute. Tua's talking about tails at a school? He's talking about guys missing team meetings? Aren't these the kinds of things that, like, the cardinal rule that this has to stay in-house? Or is he just now at the point of such frustration that he just feels, I need to say something because nobody in the building's doing anything about it? Doug?
Yeah, I think that's the deal, is that he's at that point where I've had enough. And it's like, I'm a firm believer that everything stays in-house. I'm a firm believer that those are one-on-one conversations with the guy in the locker room, with a guy on the side. Even the fact that there's a team meeting or a players-only meeting, usually I kept that in-house. That's all resolved between us. And he's just finally at the point where, well, maybe in this generation, these guys don't feel it until it's public and somebody calls them out. Maybe that's where he is. I don't know. But, I'm not the sensitivity factor. Okay, I'm going to go on a tangent, but the sensitivity factor today drives me crazy. You got to be careful. The fact that a coach slapped or smacked a player on the sideline and gets fined $100,000 for it, I think is absolutely ridiculous. He didn't hurt the player. He embarrassed the player on the sideline, and the player deserved to be embarrassed, right? So there's this whole – I walked in my first locker room at halftime. We were 0-1. We were playing our first home game with the New Jersey Generals. I got a bunch of veteran guys. We're getting their butts kicked at halftime. I walk in the locker room. There's 8 veteran guys sitting in one corner smoking cigarettes, 4 more guys in the stalls smoking pot. I'm like, this is pro football? You know what? We came out in the second half. We scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, came from behind and beat Steve Young. So the sensitivity, you want guys that can play football, that are hard-nosed, tough guys and aren't sensitive about issues.
Honestly, and I'm not joking when I say this, I thought that was AI. I'm like, this couldn't be serious. I thought that was AI. The fact that Tua is getting up there and he's basically throwing his players under the bus. And as Doug mentioned, why are you still having players only meeting? You're talking about making them mandatory. You need to be talking about the fact that you just threw 3 interceptions. You need to be talking about your team is 1-5. You need to be talking about in the last 16 games against teams with winning records, you're 1-15. That's what you need to be talking about. But the fact you're up there talking about that players need to get there for players-only meetings, those things don't work, Tua. They're not going to work. And right now, I guarantee you, those players, they're done with him. They're done with him. The ones who were late, the ones who weren't late, they are done with Tua. He is not their leader anymore. So, and I know they can't get rid of him. Mike McDaniel is probably gone, but if they could get rid of Tua, in my opinion, he would be gone because he sold out that team with those comments.
Well, I tell you why he's not going to be gone, because his cap hit is over $50 million.
That's the only
next
reason he's
year.
not gone. Only
Sure.
reason. Yep.
So when there's obviously now a fracture, how do they move forward when the quarterback has done what he's done? How as an organization, how as a locker room, fellas, does this now progress?
You basically start over on Wednesday's practice. Well, you start over before that watching film, and you just start working your tail off is the number one thing. But the way I look at it, and I've picked in this game against the Browns, they are playing the Browns.
Right.
They're playing the Browns. They had a game last week against a Chargers team that is now 4-2 and had the lead with 40 seconds to go. They came from behind from 2 scores down in the fourth quarter, come back to take the lead. And the only reason they actually lose the game, and we're talking about this right now, is that Herbert breaks a tackle in the backfield, should have been sacked, throws a short completion. McConkey breaks a tackle and runs it down in the field goal range, and they lose another game. They're one play away. Even as 3 interceptions by Tua and all. So if they go back, look at the film, they did some positive things, eliminate, like you said, three interceptions, one's off the chest of a receiver. I still see talent there, and I still see the ability. Defensively, they were horrible against the run, but I think you go to Cleveland and you can rekindle this.
The Browns, with Dylan Gabriel starting his 3rd game of his career, are 3-point favorites. Flutie and Stegall have opposing views on how this game is going to shake down. We'll get into that a little later in the show. Look, I'm old enough to remember when Joe Flacco was the starting quarterback in Cleveland at the beginning of this season.
How old are you?
I know. And I'm old enough to remember Mike Tomlin never really calling out any other team, or certainly any other GM, except he did. He couldn't believe that the Browns would ship Flacco, their opening day starter, not only out of town, but to a division rival. We rarely hear stuff like this from any coach or any GM criticizing one of their brethren, let alone from Mike Tomlin. Milt, what'd you make of it?
First of all, I think Mike Tomlin is a great coach. I mean, he's been with the Steelers for 18 years. He's gone to a couple of Super Bowls, won one. He's never had a losing record. But why is he concerned with what other teams are doing? Why is he mad at the Cleveland Browns for trading Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals, the team they're about to play? Is he concerned that this is going to help the Bengals out? Is it an unwritten rule? That should not be his concern. His concern should be his Steelers. His Steelers are playing well. He hadn't won a playoff game since 2017. People always bring that up. As I mentioned, he's a great coach, but that's none of his business. That's none of his concern what other teams are doing. Just keep focus on your team. And it's okay to think that, but why are you bringing that out publicly? Why are you talking about that? You have a great team right now. You're doing well, and you're talking about what other teams are trading away? I don't get it. I don't understand that one, Doug.
I agree with the fact that he shouldn't be talking about it, but what's frustrating to him is I'm just checking to make sure my numbers were right, but the Steelers are sitting at 4-1. You got the Bengals, what are they, 2-4, Ravens 1-5, Browns 1-5. He's looking at his division and he's saying, I am in the driver's seat right now. Browns, Cincinnati's a mess. Now you're giving Cincinnati Flacco, and maybe they're going to get competitive because they have a talented team, but they were a mess. Baltimore 1-5. He's like, I got this division. Now all of a sudden there's a question mark in his head. Now it's like, you're going to make something competitive here. I was going to blow through this division. I was going to ride to the playoffs with the number 1 seed, and now I got to work for it again. You stupid son of a gun. That's what he's mentally thinking. It's like, send him over to the NFC, send him somewhere else where we don't see him until Super Bowl. That's what he's thinking.
What do they have an agreement in place in the AFC North where you're not supposed to trade players inter-conference or something? Like what's going on?
It's like it would be like the Red Sox trading the number 1 pitcher over to the Yankees. It's like, what are you doing? Don't do that. That's the mentality of it. The bottom line is you still got to go out and win football games, and I don't care who lines up on the other side. But now he's got another competitive game or two that he's like going to have to actually fight his tail off to win in the division.
By the way, Doug, I'm also old enough to remember when the AFC North used to be the toughest division in football, with Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Cincinnati going to a Super Bowl. Now I'm starting to wonder, could it be the NFC South? I mean, you look at what Baker's doing over there in Tampa. Carolina very quietly knocking off the Dallas Cowboys. Milt, we mentioned off the top, you were in the house. Atlanta on Monday night, beating Buffalo.
Yes.
Bijan Robinson looked legit. Is Atlanta now a factor in the NFC? Like, it's so hard to say it out loud. What in the name of Matt Ryan's going on down there in Georgia?
Hey, Matt Ryan was in the house too. He was I was in the stands, but he was in the box, but we were both in the house, put it like that. But I mean, they are legit. They are legit. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Dijon, whatever you want to call him. He's the best running back in the league. His head coach, Raheem Morris, says he's the best player. I'm not ready to say that, but he is the best running back. Their defense is elite. They are elite. They're a top 5 defense. My one concern still is Michael Penix Jr. He makes some bad decisions, and he only has one receiver, Drake London. Pitts can't get it done. They don't have a number 2 guy. Their number 2 guy, Darnell Mooney, is still hurt, and they have to depend on Robinson. But if they can get Mooney back or trade for a number 2 guy and Michael Penix, his decision-making just gets 5-10% better, they can compete with Tampa Bay. They can come back and beat Carolina because, like as I mentioned, Robinson is legit, and that defense, ask Josh Allen, ask him about that defense, what they did to him last night, and they are a legit team. Like I said, just Penix and a number 2 receiver, and they're legit.
Doug, the Buffalo Bills are officially on a losing streak. It's weird to say that out loud.
Yes.
You have concern over there for what's happening in Buffalo?
There are a lot of concerns, and I always thought Josh Allen could overcome it. Week 1, he overcame it. Now, week 2, the defense is not there. Defense is letting up points. They're being run the ball down there. Throw how many rushing yards? 180 last night from 200 and something yards, including his receiving yards.
Yep.
Just a tremendous day at the tailback position for Atlanta. But defensively, it's been that way all year. And Josh Allen's found ways to overcome it. And then all of a sudden, he can't be Superman every night and make it happen on his own. And Milt said he doesn't have a number 1 receiver. He doesn't have you need a guy in an offense in the NFL. You need one guy they worry about. They cannot leave that guy one-on-one. That guy's going to dictate coverage. We're scared to play man coverage because it may wind up being an 80-yard touchdown. We got to send the safety over the top to his direction, leaving other guys one-on-one. You need someone that scares it. They don't have someone out there that's scaring the defense right now. And it's becoming very, very difficult. I thought Buffalo started to run the ball in the second half, and it looked like that could kind of trigger something. But I said before, all running does is keep you down in distance and control. But to score points, you got to throw the football.
Yeah, and you look at that Buffalo offense, and I look at those receivers. I see a lot of 3s, maybe a 2.
Yeah.
With Coleman, Shakir, Palmer went down with an injury. Look at what Stephon Diggs is doing in New England. He is helping Drake May significantly. Without that home run hitter, you can find yourself in trouble.
I believe the Bills within the next 2 or 3 weeks will be trading for someone at the receiver position. They have to. Otherwise, they won't survive. They have to.
Do they need Mike Tomlin's permission?
They got to go through the division and ask permission along the way.
It's Flutie versus Stegall. We are powered by BODOG. We thank all of you for making us one of North America's fastest growing podcasts. You can catch us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Let's get to the picks. So last week it was tough on both Milt and Doug. They went 1-2, each of them. They're both 9-6 on the season. And let's go head to head this week where you guys disagree. Cleveland favored by a field goal against Miami. Milt, you're saying the Browns are going to take care of the Dolphins. They're a mess, the Tua stuff.
Yes.
Doug, you disagree. You like Miami as a 3-point dog. Milt, let's start with you. Why Cleveland? Why the rookie quarterback?
Well, first of all, as you just mentioned, the Dolphins are a hot mess. And what's going to happen now, especially after those Tua comments, guys are going to start being selfish, thinking about themselves. You know what I'm talking about, Doug. Guys are going to say, okay, our leader, he's throwing us under the bus. He doesn't care about us. It's all about me now. What can I do to benefit myself? That's all it's going to be about now. And the Cleveland Browns, yes, quarterback position is in disarray, but Gabriel, the one thing he hasn't done is he hadn't thrown any interceptions. He hadn't lit it up, but he hadn't thrown any interceptions. And with that defense, with that elite defense, if you're not turning the ball over, you give your team an opportunity to win the game. So you're playing against the Dolphins, who's only beating the Jets. You're not turning the ball over. You got a great defense. They'll come away with a victory.
I agree with you 100% on the Cleveland defense that they are stifling. They're intense. If they could move the ball and score some points, they'd have a winning record. I believe the Dolphins dumpster fire and the stuff that's public, the media blows out of proportion and gets it bigger than life. But I do agree when finger pointing starts, it's the end of it. It really is. But I don't think they're quite there yet. I think that Miami showed some character, came back in the fourth quarter, down 2 scores. They were a tackle, actually 2 opportunities to get out of that one play to win the game with under a minute to go. It doesn't happen for them. A broken tackle and a field goal in the last seconds wins the game or loses it for Miami. I think they've shown enough offensively that they can compete. Defensively is their struggle. Going up against Cleveland, maybe that's not as big a deal. And I think the Dolphins go up, turn it around, and get a win this week.
Stegall takes Cleveland. Flutie takes Miami. The Dolphins, again, a 3-point dog. You talk about dumpster fires. How about the New York Football Jets? I mean, I don't even know what that was over in London over the weekend, guys. Like, if you're a Brit and you went and watched that, you're saying to yourself, yeah, I'm probably going to stick to the football that I watch out here.
The soccer, right.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn must be wondering, what have I gotten myself into? Meanwhile, they get Carolina this week. As we mentioned off the top, the Panthers coming off probably the best win of the Dave Canales era when they knocked off the Cowboys. Back and forth game. Doug, they're only slight favorites, Carolina over the Jets, and you like the Panthers this week.
Yeah, my first thing is you always pick against the Jets. And then it wasn't a big spread. It's like, okay, they're coming off a win. The
check.
Jets. Okay. Browns, Jets. Browns.
Oh, no.
Jets. But like the Brown situation this week is different because the Dolphins are like trying to get into that category. The Dolphins are fighting to get in the category with the Browns and the Jets right now. So that's my number one thought is Panthers got a nice win. They're playing the Jets, and I love Aaron Glenn. I played against it. Aaron Glenn was a shutdown corner.
Yes,
sure.
I mean, he was a shut. It's like, here, I got this guy. You guys go take care of that other group over there. I got him. Don't worry about me. That was Aaron Glenn as a corner. His enthusiasm running down the sideline after, was it a blocked field goal return?
The blocked field goal that went for a touchdown.
You know, I love his energy and all, but it's the Jets. So Panthers.
Yep.
I tell you what, the guy happiest about what's happening with the Jets and the Browns and the Titans and probably the Saints is Pete Carroll. Yes, he's in his first year over there in Las Vegas with the Raiders, but, you know, they just haven't figured it out. Gino's throwing picks all over the place. KC is favored by 12 in a division game, and we've talked about Kansas City almost every week. We said we haven't been able to figure them out, and yet again on Sunday night they showed why. Down to Detroit for most of the first half. Mahomes did Mahomes things. Milt, 12's a lot of points for KC to cover against the Raiders, isn't it?
Yeah, it's too many. It's too many in my opinion, as you mentioned. Divisional game. This still is the NFL, and yes, the Raiders are pretty bad, but they'll cover that. You think about these Chiefs, they're coming off an emotional and physically draining game. You know, they went to that game 2-3. They had to have it. Otherwise, it was going to be a tough battle. But they figured it out. They came back. They won the game, and they're drained. So they're going to go into this game. They're going to win it, but it's not going to be by double digits. The Raiders will keep it closer than expected. They won't win the game. If they win this game, I'll grow my hair back, and we don't need that to happen. So the Chiefs will go. They'll win this game, but They just won't blow them out by double digits. That won't happen.
Another had-to-have-it game fell on Monday night in the rain for Chicago, just to keep pace in the NFC North, just to keep the noise down on Caleb with a new head coach. Bears somehow eke it out over Washington. They're 3-2. They're above 500. It's a 5.5-point spread. The Bears are favored against New Orleans. Milt, you like Chicago to cover. Why?
Yes, I like them to cover. This is 3 in a row. This is 3 in a row. They blew out Dallas, and then their last 2 games, they won 25-24. So they're battle tested now. They understand what needs to be done to win games. They're not going to go into this Saints game thinking that we're playing a team that we should crush. They're going to go in with that right mindset, and they're going to play a solid game. Caleb Williams is playing some pretty good football. He's not where he needs to be, but he's getting better. He's progressing. And because of that, they'll cover that spread. They'll cover it. They'll win. I'm thinking 7 or 8 points and 4 victories in a row for the Chicago Bears, and they have to have it. As you mentioned, that black and blue division, maybe the best division in pro football this year. So they'll get it done.
All right, we began the show talking about the Brian Callahan firing in Tennessee. Now Mike Vrabel, the former Titans coach, goes back to Nashville, where the Pats are a 7-point favorite. Think about the quarterbacks in the league right now and what's been happening. You have Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes. You have Baker Mayfield, the favorite for MVP right now. You have Matthew Stafford balling at a terrific level. If I were to say to you, passer rating in the league, top 4 overall. If I were to say to you passer rating on the road, number 1 overall. If I were to tell you passer rating on 3rd and 4th down, 2nd overall in the league, would you really think it's Drake May of the New England Patriots who go into Tennessee as 7-point favorites? Doug, you like the Pats. You like the kid. Tell us why.
He makes plays. He's smart with the football. He's accurate with the football. He's athletic enough to run for first downs. He made a ridiculous throw moving out of the pocket halfway to the ground that saved the game a week or 2 ago. Drake May's for real. He's a legit quarterback, and I love Mike Vrabel as a head coach. He does things that put his team in a position. Just the end of the game last week with Vrabel. Well, first of all, the passer rating thing. Yeah, I don't know whether I believe, whatever. You look at numbers. I hated the passer rating thing because the bottom line was, yeah, that happens, but it's about winning football games and making plays. And that's kind of a result of it, but it's not always true. Sometimes you're just making the right plays at the right time. I never got caught up in, I hate numbers. I hated those passer rating numbers. They always drove me nuts because guys throw Hail Marys out of bounds instead of trying to get the completion, and it winds up being picked off. They don't want to risk an interception, so they throw the ball out of bounds on end of the games. They take the check downs and get 40 yards passing and all that stuff. But going back to Mike Vrabel as a head coach now, last week to ice the game, you're up. Guy ran the ball, gets tackled right near the sideline. They rule him out of bounds, stop the clock. He challenges that it was inbounds. Mm-hmm. He wins the challenge. It stays inbounds so they can wind the clock, but they reset the clock at 25 seconds. He goes back, no, I want the full clock. He gets that argument won, gets the full clock, runs it down to the 2 minutes so that it can just do 3 kneel downs. He notices all those things. Vrabel, when I was with the Patriots, one of the first, during training camp, I'm doing a field goal. I'm holding for field goal. We're in the stadium. Belichick puts the clock up there. And he said, okay, Doug, that's the situation. I look at the clock. Okay, last play of the game. We're kicking a field goal. I'm down on one knee, getting ready for the snap. Vrabel's over on defense. He calls timeout. I start to stand up and relax as the clock's running down because I thought he called a timeout. And I realized nobody else was doing it. I jumped back down. I snapped the ball. Boom, we kicked it. Nothing happened. Nobody had blown the whistle. Vrabel knew on the clock that they put no timeouts for the defense up there. He faked the timeout to see if the offense, and it worked against me. We still got a kick, but for a second it worked. The way he thinks is at another level. The way he sees things and sees this game is at another level. And I really like both that combination with him and Drake May.
And the devil is in the details, isn't it, Milt? Like situational football matters so much.
And the reason why he's been able to adjust is offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels has been there every single Super Bowl New England Patriots have won. He was on the staff in some capacity. And the last 3 they won, he was offensive coordinator. So I think that is the biggest reason. And I don't like to give coaches too much credit because coaches are as great as the players they have on the field. But when you have a young player like May, you need that experienced offensive coordinator. You need a guy who's been there, who's done that, who's seen every single defense, every single strategy, anything anybody can throw at him. And I think he's benefiting from having McDaniels there. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, McDaniels as a head coach doesn't work out. But when he's that offensive coordinator, he gets success. Ask Tom Brady how much he helped him, and I think he's passing along some of those same things as he did to Tom Brady to May, as what he's doing right now with May.
Also, with that, the more time he's spending with him, the more he gets to know what Drake May does well. You know, it's like it's coming around. Like every week, there's a little more, a little this, little that. Keep adding to it. He's still real young. He's still young. It's still brand new. It's only second year for Drake, and
right.
They're going to build on this.
Tell you what, Doug, a couple more losses for your beloved Boston College Eagles, and Bill O'Brien may be down the street in Foxborough. They're going to bring the whole band back.
On his way
bring the
back.
band back. I love Bill. I love what he's doing at BC. I know they're struggling, and they got totally waxed by Pitt. But he and Bears is down there. Bears Nigerian, helping him out in the front office. So I thought they turned it around a little bit last year, and this year they're kind of slipping off the cliff right now.
So is Belichick on his way back too? What he's doing in North
Bring
Carolina?
Bill back over. Come on, bring him in. Come on down to BC and hang out. Let's all finish our careers here.
Defensive consultant, maybe.
Oh man, what a mess that is down there in Chapel Hill. Our picks have been all over the map too. It's Flutie versus Stegall. Milt and Doug disagree on Cleveland and Miami this week. The Browns are favored by a field goal. Milt likes Cleveland. Doug likes Miami. Milt says, yeah, KC's going to beat the Raiders. Just take the points with Las Vegas plus 12. Milt also likes the Bears to cover the 5.5 against New Orleans. Meanwhile, with Flutie, he says the Jets are hopeless. Take Carolina as the slight favorite. And in Mike Vrabel's return to Tennessee, he likes New England to cover the 7 points as the band tries to get back together.
Yes.
So Milt and I just disagree on how to handle dumpster fires, but that's about it.
That's it.
One thing is clear. Doug, Milt, we are not having any players-only meetings on this show.
It's not going to
this
happen.
week.
No.
Flutie versus Stegall is powered by BODOG. We thank all of you for making this one of North America's fastest-growing podcasts, available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. We'll see you all next week.